Today I'm going to take you through a real quick look at Amazon and how you can find some of the products that you'll use in this course. So this is a range from foam rollers, therapy balls, lacrosse balls. If you have a home gym, I'm actually going to show you really all you need for the home gym. Really just trying to make sure that you have all the accessories possible, especially if you're doing most of this at home in your basement or even when you're on vacation, taking it out to the hotel. So let's go ahead and take a look at Amazon.com. All we're gonna do is start off with these things one at a time. So starting out with the foam roller, just because it's the most popular one, this is gonna be huge for you. So right off the bat, Amazon Basics has their own brand. You don't have to, the little colors in there don't really matter. The main thing is I want to talk about the difference between these two. So you have your classic foam roller. You can go anywhere from 12 to 36 inch. The only issue with the 36 inch, let's see if they have an image of a person. It's huge, it just takes up a ton of space. So I'd rather teach you how to use either the 18 or the 12 because you can still be very effective and you don't need a massive roller. When these things first came out years ago, I remember me and two other trainers, we actually heated up a hanger and we actually cut it into 3 pieces. So you don't need the whole entire thing. However, when you're talking about these, they can be a little bit more expensive. It's not crazy. However, these here are going to change your experience, I promise you. So when you're on the more flatter ribbed edges, it's not going to be as intense. But when you start going into these nodules here, they can be very, very intense, especially on different parts of the legs. So I actually advise against these until you know what you're doing, just because it can be very uncomfortable and it could get it to the point where you're not actually going to get effective work done because it's so uncomfortable. Even at my position now, when it comes to using foam rollers, I don't even use these here because it can be a little bit too intense. Now, of course, I'm training my legs on almost daily, doing something. So there's congestion, so I got to work them out evenly. Just make sure that you're doing something that is sustainable. If it's very painful, you're not going to do it every day. So I recommend going to the regular classic foam roller. And I talk about this some in the course, but the only reason it's painful is because there's congestion, there's inflammation, and potentially leftover lactic acid that you need to release. And you'll be able to do that with this foam roller here. So they also have, Theragun came out with their own as well. Much more expensive, but that's because this thing will vibrate. So you can actually sit on it and choose different tones and different strengths of vibration. It's just another different type of percussive instrument. Really good when it comes to flexibility and loosening up the muscles by breaking up that tissue. The biggest thing here is you're breaking up fascia, you're breaking up scar tissue, getting the circulation flowing again. And the circulation flowing is what gets that lactic acid out of your muscle. Sometimes they've got some pretty cool combination packs. Depending on the price, it can change the quality of the items. So I'm going to show you these individually. I always feel it's better to get this stuff individually than paying for a package because you're going to get better products if you buy them individually. It's just like a multivitamin. Like some of these multivitamins pack in so much stuff, but it's because it's a little bit of everything to say that they got it all in there instead of just you going and getting the actual supplement and making sure you're getting your daily values worth. But that's starting to sound like another video. This here, Trigger Point, is probably the most popular one. When it comes to brand name, it's a little bit more expensive, but also you got some cool designs here. It's very popular industry, recognizable, and they very rarely break or have any issues. You'll see it's a hollow one. This is more solid. The main thing I recommend not getting is something like one of these, the soft density ones, the Flex foam rollers, because within a matter of a month, you're going to warp it by sitting on it and doing stuff on it. Now, if you're a very, very beginner, these are better because they're not going to be as intense. But I truly believe if you do this on a regular basis, you'll be ready for the more dense ones within a matter of a week. So don't even waste time on the real soft ones unless like if there's fibromyalgia or anything, or you're very sensitive to the touch, you're going to want a little bit of a softer one. So these are your foam rollers. Let's go ahead and move on. So now we're going to look at the therapy ball. Now some of these are like slam balls or they're full of sand. So you want to make sure it's not full of sand. So it looks like clicking this one here, this first one is going to be pretty solid. You can see people rolling out on it. That's what you want to look at. you don't want to see the big exercise ball. You want it to be around about this size. Really good. That's a really good way to get into that hamstring. Really good. They also have ones that vibrate. So that's also by Theragun too. Those are going to be more expensive anyway. So you can see the different sizes here. I think that the bigger ones are better for working like your delts and parts of your traps and your glutes as well. Whereas the smaller one is really good for making sure that you're getting down into the smaller muscles that you kind of have to move around bones for. Like Hershey's working right into the traps and rhomboids. You got to use the smaller one for that to be really accurate. But then, of course, I go over all this stuff in the course for you. Just type in vibration here. Yeah, there's one there. So you can see a little bit more, about $45, but it will actually vibrate. The thing is, if you do this against the wall, it's going to be so loud. If you do it against the floor, it's going to be really loud. So, just kind of be prepared for that. Next is the massage stick. Massage roller, we'll just say that. Roller stick, massage stick, however you want to call it. This is the most common brand. You can get it right off of Amazon, simple $10. You can go into like Target and Dick's Sporting Goods and stuff like that, and it could be between $25 and $30. All you need to do is make sure that it's not flexible. It needs to be a very sturdy roller, meaning, basically, this is exactly what I'm meaning. See that metal pole going through the middle? You don't want it to be a plastic pole, because I've seen those, just a plastic stick that you can actually flex the roller back and forth. You don't want that. You want something that is very sturdy. Again, because you're going to be building muscle, we need to be able to push the tension out and release that tension from those quads there, or hamstrings or calves, wherever we're using it. So you need it to have some type of integrity. A couple different options here. Again, I'm not a huge fan of the ones that have these knobs, because it just makes things a little bit more uncomfortable. And so again, it may just not be something you do on a regular basis. You don't have to get all fancy with it. As long as you're doing the right stuff, it's going to have the same impact and effect. These ones, the only thing I'll say about this, being a guy, is that my hair on my legs tends to get knotted up or something, twisted in this. I don't know how it is, but it tends to just yank on the hair on my legs. So not a huge fan of this one, just because it's that rubber material going all the way down. I just tend to try and stick with the plastic ones. It's plastic beads or plastic rollers, but remember that bar going through the middle is definitely a steel rod there. So you need that. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to your resistance bands. You just want two different sets of resistance bands. The first ones you want are the smaller ones, like this one here. Second is going to be some longer ones. Now, this all depends on if you have weights or what you have at home. Simple, these ones here, these will come in quick. These are real effective. These first three are really good for building the stabilizers and different parts of the body. And then when they get stronger, we challenge them with the heavier bands. So these are really good. After you get the small resistance bands, you're going to want one of these. So this is, now of course, if you have dumbbells, if you have small dumbbells, we'll talk about that in a second. But these are also, you can stand on these, you can attach them to your door. There's so many different things that you can do with these to be able to get to all the different parts of the body. So if this is something you're using, I have a lot of different modifications throughout the course that can help you with this. And then also I can certainly help you as well. Very effective for getting to all the different parts of the body. You have, let me see here, a couple different options, 10 to 150, 220. Kind of depends on how heavy you're looking to go. I think if you're looking for some real good weight, then you should look at some actual dumbbells, because the bands can be a little bit difficult when they start getting heavier, just for you to get in position to be able to use them. And then lastly, I'm going to show one of these here. I always like having a pull-up assist band, and there'll be parts of the course where you see me talk about this. This is mostly used like that right there, where it's helping you pull yourself up to be able to do a pull-up. Now, of course, if you have a lat bar or something to pull down, you can do that. But as you can see, we got some squats up here. Core, I won't have you doing that, but you could end up using it for leg day. Definitely going to use it for back day, and could use it for arm day as well. Next would be some of the weights. If you decided to get weights at home, I always like to point out these adjustable ones first, just because they save so much space. You can get, I think this one's probably going to go up to, looks like this one goes up to 25. So I recommend between 25 and 50. Depends where you're starting at. Maybe we need to talk specifically on which one would be best for you. But these ones here, I had these for a long time and I ended up getting rid of them. But they helped get me through the pandemic. They were great. So I was able to use, these ones went up to 50, and I could use resistance bands in addition to make them a little bit heavier. But also, if you're just starting out and we're just getting to go, and I just told you just to get a very basic weight set, I'm just speaking on anything from 8, 10 to 15. So you got this one here, it's 3, 5, and 8, which I would want you to be a little bit more advanced than that but starting at 8 or starting at 5 would be great. These 3s, I'm not really going to use them because you have the resistance bands. However, you can look at some of these as well. But again, I really like these adjustable ones and getting yourself a good denomination of weights. If you're beginning, again, my recommendation is between 5, 8, and 10, and then we can kind of build up from there. Depending on what you have at home, though, may change. If you have an actual home gym, you may be looking at getting a bar with some plates, and we should talk specifically about that. I love getting this type of stuff through thrift, whether it be off of Facebook or something like that, just because a lot of times you can find something really close to you and you can save a dramatic amount because this stuff normally stays pretty good, pretty long. Kettlebells are great as well. We have some spots in the program where kettlebells would work. And of course, a classic weight tree just to have up to 150 pounds makes it really simple if you have it up in the house. Now, if you do have a home gym, there's 3 things I recommend. Of course, you need the weights. Then I also recommend a weight bench. To be able to be most efficient with your time and money, I would recommend getting a bench that's adjustable versus a flat bench because we're going to use it for a number of different things. These here look like they're all pretty much the same thing. I would just look for making sure that you have about a 300 to 450 pound weight max on it, just to make sure that it can take your body weight plus any of the weights that you're holding. Normally, it'll tell you very quickly, this thing's 700 pound capacity. So you're obviously good with that. This one's actually not that bad being at 164. There was one that was 109. Let's just kind of get an idea here. 500. Okay. So if that's 500 pounds that it can take, these are actually great ones. The first ones that popped up, I would highly recommend the adjustable versus the flat. And then the next thing you would need if you're at home would be a rack of some sort. So we'll just put in squat rack. At home, I would think you would probably want about, $1,000 set to the side to be able to make yourself a good home gym, to be able to have good quality products that will last long. If anything breaks and you got to buy it again, you just wasted money. This squat rack is probably what I would say is the best option. And it's just a quick glance. Let's see how good it gets. So this comes with a bench. This is for 450. This comes with a lat pull down attachment, which is up there. So what that'll do is that just gives you even more accessibility. It depends really, and looks like you might be able to get some lower body work in there. You got a curl bar as well. So this is actually a really effective little piece of equipment here. This one is for 552. So you kind of can see how you can kind of play around with the idea. Here are the attachments you can always get at another time. And you could, of course, just start off with your power cage and your bench. Really good option. Just kind of play around with this. Of course, check out your budget. Make sure you check out your ceiling height. I'm not a huge fan of these individuals, but they can work. I did have a pair for quite some time, almost identical to this, but they're just not as secure, right? They're really good if you're kind of moving around. And then lastly, the one thing I'm going to pop up here, because I think I mentioned it in the course, but I have a number of people who use this, is the TRX training system. You just want the all-in-one. This is more for if someone just doesn't have accessible weights and such like that. We will make sure that, me and you, of course, will talk and make sure you have what it is that you need. There is the list. So right below this, I'm going to put a little document that you can download that'll have all of these things listed out and the best way for you to search them up on Amazon, just to make it as simple, as easy as possible. Hope that you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon.